Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
This is the Black Gold Banneret Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff Sharon, Eric Lopez, and Brian Murphy.
Welcome, Jeff, Eric, and Brian here with you on this Wednesday. Happy Veterans Day to all those who are currently serving or who have served out there in our audience. We want to tell you how much we love you and we appreciate you on this Veterans Day. November the 11th is Wednesday night. We're recording this, and it seems like we always have to preface every show by saying that because you never know what can happen these days in college football. Half the SEC got their schedule wiped already this week, and who knows what's going to happen. But as far as we know, we still got football to play. And by the way, Murph, we will play Temple this week, right?
To be, yes, yeah, like subject to
sources say
at 9:42 Wednesday night, it is a go. It is an absolute go.
Or as you would say on Twitter, team source, UCF will play Temple on Saturday.
Plans.
Well, we're going to preview that game. We'll also talk about Darriel Mack actually announced today. This is actually, it's not really breaking news. It's news that has broken today. But Darriel Mack announced that he has entered the transfer portal, and we wanted to pass along our thanks to Darriel and reminisce about his time at UCF, which was eventful, certainly. We're also going to talk a little bit more about the men's basketball schedule as it comes into shape, including the windows for conference games. And the four non-conference games that are now on the schedule. And we also have a guest on the show. Eric spoke with Trey Hilderbrand of the UCF men's tennis team, who is coming off of a victory at the ITA National Fall Championship. Eric, Trey Hilderbrand, wow. And he did it against one of his teammates, too.
That's right. It was an all-teammate affair Sunday, a match that was televised on ESPNU, where Hilderbrand came back from a set-down, beat Gabriel DeCamps in 3 sets to win the ITA National Fall Championship. I'll talk to him about that. What was it like facing someone you know as well as a teammate indoors, as that match got moved indoors, and what does that mean, tournament title mean for Hilderbrand moving forward? Is really part of a huge year for UCF tennis ahead. So looking forward. I had a great talk with him, and you'll get to hear that a little bit later on.
All right, and then we'll wrap up with our own little tribute to Alex Trebek, too, the late Alex. I can't believe it. He's the late Alex Trebek. But anyway, so let's go to the Temple game. UCF and Temple coming into their game this Saturday, scheduled for 7:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Of course, UCF coming off the bye week at 4-2. Temple is at 1-4. They have not played any non-conference games. They've lost 3 in a row to Memphis, Tulane, and most recently SMU. It's like as you can imagine, it's been a rough go for the Owls this year. Their most recent game, they played with around 50 players. They'll have more than that, obviously, at their disposal this coming Saturday. But UCF, of course, defeated Temple 63-21 in Philadelphia last year. It was 28-21 at the half before UCF dropped 28 points in the third quarter to pull away and just did what UCF did. Interesting note, Lopez, you brought this up to me earlier this week. The opening line for this game was 28.5 on OddsShark. And I think at the time that it came out, it was the highest line for any FBS game. Is that true?
That is correct. It's the biggest margin. I don't know what the current number is.
I can tell you right now, it's 24.
People are taking Temple.
People are jumping on Temple, and they dropped it down to 24. 57% of the money on UCF, over under 75.5, and 83% are taking the over on that one. So some things to think about there.
Well, I think a big part of that is Temple, as far as we know, on Wednesday night, got their quarterback back, Russo, who is a pretty good quarterback. When Temple really struggled earlier in the year, they were hurt with COVID and injuries, and they didn't have Russo he had an injury. So he didn't start, I think, couple games, Murph, I want to say.
He was out the last 2 games because he basically had a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder.
Ouch.
So they've been shorthanded, and I think they played I watched the game they played recently against SMU on ESPN Plus. They moved the football, and the score points. So I guess that's the theory, right? Is that you take the points because that's a lot of points, and you figure maybe Temple could score in the back end and cover that number. So that has to be the reason why that number certainly drops a little bit.
Well, there's also this fact in that UCF is 1-4 against the number in their last 5 games. So there's also that.
a bad beat. It's been a decent season for UCF football, but a bad beats season all over the place.
Oh my God, the bad beats this year have just been something else. As some fans have alluded to, Temple's head coach is Rod Carey. Who took over, of course, from Matt Rule, who moved on. Their numbers offensively this year, though, for Temple, they've not been very good. They're 81st in the country in total offense, 91st in rushing, 46th in passing. I'm looking here up and down on their strengths, and they really just don't have many right now. I mean, their defense has also been pretty bad. They're 80th in the country in total defense. 111th in team pass efficiency defense, so the highest. So they're close to dead last in the FBS in terms of highest passer rating allowed. They've been getting lit up via the pass so far this year. Murph, UCF coming off the bye week, got 4 guys who are now gone from the defense, but that didn't seem to really bother anybody the last 2 weeks. You've heard from a couple of the coaches that have been out here. That have been out discussing what they've been working on these last 2 weeks. I know that there's not a whole lot of insight to glean from that, but what's this team look like coming in with what I thought was a badly needed week off?
Yeah, I think this team now understands what their rotations are. I think on both sides of the ball, defensively, most importantly, is okay, who do we have, and then how can we best use them? And I think even though we saw them use that defensive line really well, with good results, it helps to have that bye week to really kind of set up these last 3 games to know who is left in the program, how you can use them, how you can roll those guys and make them most productive. I think a lot of what we've heard this week has been about just gearing up for this home stretch. But the biggest sort of news that's come out of our press conferences this week has been the I don't know if it's imminent, but the upcoming return of Trey Nixon. So Trey, for those who will remember, hurt his shoulder. Let's call it a collarbone.
For those who would remember, I forgot that guy. No, I really did. But it's been a while. He hurt his what we think was his collarbone, right?
I mean, it's fair to speculate that he did hurt his collarbone in a manner that would leave him out for 7 to 8 weeks, which is what he's been out. He returned to practice late last week, and obviously put out a tweet earlier this week thanking, just saying how good it is, how nice it is for him to be back. We talked to quarterbacks coach Joey Halsley today and said, and he was asked, how does Trey look out there? And he said flat out, he just said fast. Trey looks fast, which he should. Again, it's a shoulder injury, not a hamstring or an ankle injury. But I think it was interesting that Coach Halsley also sort of preached some caution with Trey and said that, obviously they want to have him back on the field with them, but they also want to do what's best for him, make sure that when he's, make sure that it's safe for him to come back. So we'll, of course, ask Josh Heupel on Thursday about whether or not Trey Nixon will play. And the people who listen to the show can already guess what that answer is going to be. It's not going to be anything informative. But I think just hearing from Coach Halsley, there does seem to be a measure of caution in terms of Trey's status. So he may not play this game against Temple because, well, one, he may not be ready, but two, they probably don't need him. But I think the big news is his return to the field is on the horizon, and if anything, he is on track to add to this offense, as if this offense needed another big time deep threat receiver to add to it leading up to next week's game against Cincinnati.
Well, would you look at that? The number one pass offense in the country is actually getting another one of its veteran weapons. So,
arguably, coming into the season, you would have looked at Trey as the number one deep threat on this team, and now you've got Jalen Robinson and Ryan O'Keefe. Everyone knows what Marlon Williams can do. It's a disgusting display of riches, but this is what this offense is.
Eric, I hate to go into this game being confident, like I hate going into any game confident, but this seems like my point is I just kind of hope that UCF doesn't overlook this game, right? Is it possible that they could be overlooking this at all?
A little bit, actually. I'll throw you the scenario. Cincinnati's playing Friday night against East Carolina, at least as of this recording, on Wednesday night. Because I don't know anymore what's getting played, doesn't get played. Until the game's kicked off, I'm not 100% sold of any game being played anymore. But Cincinnati's playing Friday night. You know UCF's going to be watching that game. You know players are going to be watching that game. And what happens is you're thinking ahead, oh, hey, man, we could do that and that. Oh, yeah, we could take advantage of that. Next thing you know, you're playing Temple here, and you're in the second quarter, and you're sleepwalking. And it's a tighter game than it should be. So I think there's a percentage. The one thing I would counter with that is they are coming off a bye. So they should really be ready to roll and get back on the field. I think the key is you got to get off to a good start, get off to a big lead, and then get out of there. You don't want to, like you mentioned, don't overlook Temple. You don't want to get stuck in a situation where you're in a tricky game in the second half against Temple because Russo can put points up. I know those stats look bad, but Temple's had a lot of stuff go against them this year. But that doesn't mean, like I said, they look pretty decent against SMU at home on Saturday. And I think with Russo, they have they could move the football a little bit better than those stats suggest. However, if UCF is locked in, I think they should pull away. And I think that is important because you want to come out of this game pretty healthy as possible for the big game against Cincinnati the following week, especially since Cincinnati's going to have a head start on you because they're playing Friday. So yeah. I think it's important to lock in, take care of business, and then get your players out of there late in the second half and focus on Cincinnati.
So Russo this year is 68%, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he's thrown for 863 yards. Temple's had 2 other guys play at quarterback so far this year, Trad Beatty and Rayal Mitchell. Top rusher for the Owls is Raymond Davis, 308 yards and a touchdown.
No, it's not. Raymond opted out. Raymond is going to transfer.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So people might remember Raymond Davis. He was one of the best players last year.
Yeah, he was good last year.
As a freshman, UCF did a pretty good job on him in that blowout win at Temple. But he was really the star of their offense last year, along with Russo and some other guys. Well, he decided about a week ago today. And as players actually have said, it was kind of a shocking move. They didn't know about it until he put it out on social media.
Right.
He's going to go into the portal. So he's not around.
That is surprising because he was leading the team in rushing too at 308 yards right now. So behind him is Tavon Ruley, who's got only 168 yards this year.
And so Ruley is become their lead back. He is a senior who's been here for 2 years. This is his second season. He really hasn't gotten much of a chance, and now this is kind of his opportunity. I believe he got 15 carries against SMU. He had 66 yards and a touchdown. So he'll be the lead back. I also would not be surprised to see Rayal Mitchell as a quarterback come in as sort of like your Cam Newton, Darriel Mack option read quarterback because he can do those kinds of things that Russo cannot. The third quarterback, by the way, got hurt last week as well, so he's unavailable for this game. It's that is the story of Temple season. You're either hurt, you're on the COVID list, or you've opted out. That is the story of their season.
Right, and they're not as good as they were been even like in the running game, which I think is for Temple to have a shot. They would have to run the football well against UCF. They don't have the backs you mentioned, or none of them are as good as Raquel Armstead, who you remember had a big game against UCF a couple years ago in that shootout at the Bounce House. They're not as good. It's a rough year, honestly. I think there are Temple's probably like counting down the days. Like, can we just end the season already and move on to basketball?
I mean, you're probably going to run down the stats, and you'll probably run into a name of Randall Jones.
Yep.
I think they're leading the receiver. Well, except he's also hurt. He got hurt against SMU, and he's not playing this game. So they have a couple of guys that are dangerous. Brandon Mack is a guy who I think made a big play against UCF last year for a touchdown. But it's just attrition all over the place. I can go to defense when you want me to talk about the defensive losses, which are actually more in number.
Yeah, well, right now what's listed on their stats, their leading tackler is William Kwenkeu, the linebacker, and their leading sacker is Arnold Ebikiti, the defensive end. But this defense has struggled all year long, and like you were mentioning, it's because of overall attrition, right?
Absolutely. So as of a couple weeks ago, they had 13 guys on the COVID in the COVID protocol. A number of those guys were on their 2-deep depth chart. I don't believe they'll have their best linebacker for this game, Graham Mobley. And then it got so bad in the linebacking core. He's been out for a few weeks, but the linebacking core, I believe they dressed 3 scholarship linebackers for the SMU game.
Oh boy!
And then in the defensive secondary, they are starting a true freshman at safety, whom Rod Carey's been very frank this week. Listen to his press conferences. He is not one to mince words or hide behind coach speak. He will say that these guys aren't ready to play, but they have no other chance. They have no other options. They have to play because that's all they've got. And so it got so bad, I think 2 weeks ago, that their scout team cornerbacks were a kicker and a linebacker because they just ran out of cornerbacks that are available.
Oh my gosh, really?
So some of those guys have come back, so it doesn't look as bad now, but it's a mash unit, and at least Rod Carey has been very upfront with saying this week of who will and will not play, and I would love to have that.
Their only win this year, by the way, was at home against South Florida, 39-37. That was in the second game of the year. They lost to Navy by 2 in their opener, and then things kind of, unfolded from there. Go ahead, Eric. I thought I heard you trying to say something.
Like I said, this is UCF should handle business. If they're locked in, they'll take care of business early, blow them out, don't mess around, and get your starters out. If they'll get Dalen Gaber out, and hey, maybe play some other quarterback that whoever you want. Any other quarterback on the roster.
Don't you start that?
Might be interested in playing.
Don't you start that. Oh, boy. I just want to update everybody on the standings right now, too. Right now, UCF is in 5th in the American. Well, actually tied for 4th with Memphis and Navy. Of course, Memphis has the tiebreaker head-to-head, but boy, did Memphis escape last week. Oh, man, UCF really needed that. And again, South Florida, man, I'll tell you. They found a way to lose that game and just to mess with UCF. Because if they had, then UCF would have been in 4th place behind 4-1 SMU, obviously undefeated Tulsa and undefeated Cincinnati, which is kind of not a bad place to be, at least at this point. But I mean, what are you going to do? At least.
Well, Memphis lost. They're not going to be playing this week.
Right. They lost game. Well, they didn't lose a game. Their game with Navy is postponed officially.
Right, and that's going to be interesting how they figure all that out. The only thing the league announced was that the Cincinnati-Tulsa game, we speculated that maybe you move that game to the 12th so you could fit other games in. Nope. They have moved that game to Friday, December 4th, Cincinnati and Tulsa. So it looks like that's going to stay in that slot. So it really begs to ask the question, are you going to be able to get all these games in? You still have Memphis and Navy. that you're trying to figure out. Tulsa and Navy, unless they move the Army-Navy game to December 19th, I think there's
they
going to
ain't
be a
moving
game
that
that
game.
we lose.
They are
not.
not moving that game.
So I think the thing that's going to be interesting as we move forward here, if Tulsa and Cincinnati don't end up being the top two teams clearly with 0-1 losses, then this could come down to whatever the tiebreakers are, whether it be head-to-head, whether it's win percentage, whatever it is. That's what we could be headed for in this league to determine who will be playing in the conference championship game if Cincinnati and Tulsa don't take care of business and win out outside of their head-to-head meeting. Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, Cincinnati does play ECU, like you said, on Friday. Tulane is home for Army on noon on Saturday. Houston is home for South Florida. That game's on ESPN2 at 3:30. And then Tulsa has SMU. That should be a good game, 7 o'clock on ESPN2.
That's the game of the weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge game to watch. So, and obviously across
Brian,
from us.
Follow it, Brian. I'll be watching that, following that while you're at the stadium.
Yeah.
While I'm hating my life at 11 o'clock during the third quarter of a 3.5 hour game.
Gosh. Here comes media complaint guy. I keep warning you guys.
Make sure you follow Murph at spokes_Murphy.
7:30 p.m. kick on Saturday. The game will be on ESPN So, but hey, maybe we'll get a fourth quarter like we had the other day, or the other week, where run the last eight and a half minutes off the clock and.
There we go.
There you go. Let's show a little ball control UCF, huh?
And I would love it. And by the way, if you tune in early enough, you will get to see a shuttle launch, hopefully, or a rocket launch, hopefully.
That's right. It's shuttle launch. Gosh, you're such a throwback. I can't even believe you said shuttle launch on this one. You know who you're talking to here? Jeez. SpaceX is supposed to be launching a manned Dragon capsule at, was it 7:49?
Correct. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, most of you probably know this, the 50-yard line winds up was exactly like due.
It's the exact same latitude as Launch Complex 39A, which is where the SpaceX Dragon will originate from. So,
and it just so happens that the viewpoint that we get from the press box, which is in the Roth Tower, looks out that way. So if you are basically on the UCF sideline, looking out over the edge of the stadium, you will get to see a rocket at around 7:50, 7:49,
and it'll be plenty dark. It'll be plenty dark, right? So. So it should be pretty. Assuming it happens, you never know, because this is obviously a manned launch, so SpaceX is obviously going to be very careful about this. But will
that be more suspenseful than the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Eric,
will ESPN2 show it? You think?
Eric?
No, they'll show. I don't know if they'll show it. They'll show the rocket going up. Just kind of showing you where it might happen. Like the director has to put a camera on that thing, right?
As long as somebody lets them know.
They'll probably come back from break and show it. You know?
Hey, a few moments ago, this is what we saw here at the Bounce House. Yeah,
But Eric, this is the type of game, and I don't want to do it because I did it last time. It didn't work. This type of game where I put the wheelchairs up for auction on this type of game. This one is just cut and dry.
Real quick, because we will have post-game night shift following the game. Me and Andrew will be doing it. I don't know what time. Hopefully before midnight, but it'll be whatever it is. We will.
Hopefully it'll start on Saturday.
So Brian will not be joining us on this episode because it's really, really late. So unless something really big happens at the game, which probably is not what I want, Brian will not be joining us on this episode. We'll have him back for the Cincinnati game. But Murph. Yeah. The last time we did night shift from Houston, you had a bit of a mechanical issue. Are you good? Are you good for this Saturday? Or are you a game time decision?
I have MacGyvered my wheelchair into semi-working order, and it's going to be a while for it to get actually fixed. So it's not great, but it's good enough. We're all working day by day, day to day. That's all we can ask for. That's what I've got right now in a wheelchair situation. Yeah. It's rough.
So if you find Murph's wheelchair, and he's like putting it up, and he's putting it up there. Just don't take it. Nope, it's damaged goods at this point. We need to. Do we start the GoFundMe now, Brian? Is that?
I need. Yeah, this is probably a GoFundMe situation.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. In other news. In other football-related news, we got word. This is actually, well, not really breaking. It broke earlier today. Darriel Mack announced that he is in the transfer portal. This is something that we're not all that surprised by. In fact, I think, given how the quarterback situation has worked out, it's not a general surprise, but. Darriel will be leaving UCF, the guy who is known for coming in to replace Mackenzie Milton after the injury at South Florida. Of course, there's the ECU game earlier in the year when Mackenzie was a little banged up and he played well. And then Darriel Mack led UCF to the American Athletic Conference Championship with a record-breaking performance, 4 touchdown rushes in the second half of the 2018 American Athletic Conference Championship, and came so close to beating LSU in the bowl game. UCF lost by 1 score. A couple things go a little bit differently, and Darriel Mack would have been 2-0 on an undefeated team. But our thanks again as fans, right, to Darriel, who was a total team guy. Obviously, saw the starting job kind of slipped through his fingers after he has suffered an ankle injury in the preseason last year, which enabled Dillon Gabriel to eventually slide into the starting role. Of course, Brandon Wimbush got the start in the opener, and then Gabriel took over from there. But Murph, I'll start with you. What's going to be your lasting impression of Darriel Mack?
Probably. The 2 games in which he started. Well, the 2 games in which he started in 2018 were just were both very significant for me. I remember the one in East Carolina, which was his first career start, was a surprise to all of us because we didn't know until the last minute that Mackenzie Milton wasn't going to play in that game, and I was in Greenville, and all of a sudden, oh by the way, here comes Darriel Mack, and he plays pretty well in that game. And then obviously, I think the game everyone will remember for him is the Memphis back and forth title game, which was just it looked ugly, and he didn't play well early, and he lost some fumbles and stuff. But he obviously willed that team back in the second half. There's no doubt about it. So if there's a game that people will remember Darriel by, it's that game. I am very happy for Darriel because he deserves this. The fact is, like you said, Jeff, the way it broke. He just was not going to get a starting shot here, and it's too bad of what happened, in the preseason last year with his broken ankle, really taking that chance away from him even before he had a chance to compete for it. But I think we could all see now that no matter what happened, Dillon Gabriel would have ended up being the starter regardless.
Yeah,
and he would have been a backup anyway. And so Darriel deserves an opportunity to start somewhere, and I think I've said this on this podcast. I think I've said this for more than a year now. Because he deserves it. He's got the athleticism, the size to be a really good college quarterback. And don't forget, guys, he's going to be a grad transfer, so he's going to have his degree, and he's got a small kid as well. I believe the kid's maybe only a year old, and so that has to go in his decision too. Mm-hmm. And I hope the best for him. Everyone should hope the best for him. This is not surprising, and I was really rooting for it to come. I was really rooting for him to make the decision to go and find a place where he could play and start because he deserves it, and he can, and he will, and he'll probably be pretty good at it too.
He's originally, by the way, from Norfolk, Virginia, and wherever he ends up next year, he will be a junior. Is that right? Because he was freshman and then a sophomore at UCF, opted out this year, so he retains his junior year of eligibility. So he'll be a junior next year, wherever he ends up. By the way, his career numbers at UCF, 70 of 131, 838 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions passing, and then rushing 110 carries, 516 yards, 9 touchdowns. So yeah, including obviously the 4 touchdowns against Memphis in that. But I want to pull up that game log real quick because I mean, we talk about the tale of two halves, right?
Yeah, I mean,
well, that's his legacy. That's his legacy, though, right?
That game he finished 19 of 27 for 348 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus 18 carries, 59 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So 6 total touchdowns in that game, which seems like it was 10 years ago already, doesn't it? Jeez. But that's it. But you're right. That's his legacy. That was the Darriel Mack game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. It's like Frank Wright, right, in the Buff comeback against Houston in the NFL for the injured Jim Kelly. That's kind of what this is. It's his legacy. So he'll always be thought of very well, and hopefully he ends up well. And I'll look forward to seeing him play. I agree with Murph. I think wherever he ends up going, he's going to play, and I think he'll play very well.
And he'll play for 2 years too. I'd be really interested to see where he ends up, and if he obviously gets the starting job, and to see what he can do with an offense that's entirely his. I think that would be a lot of fun. So we're thankful for Darriel for his contributions to UCF, and we're sad to see him go. But on the other hand, if that's what's best for him, that's what he's got to do. So we're thankful for the memories that he brought us here the whole time. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk basketball schedule. We'll talk a little men's tennis with Trey Hilderbrand from UCF Men's Tennis, champion of the ITA Fall Nationals. That happened this past week, and a little tribute to Alex Trebek when we return. This is the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Welcome back. Jeff, Eric, and Brian with you here on the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast, where you can follow us on Twitter, UCF_Banneret, Facebook.com/Black and Gold Banneret, and of course, blackandgoldbanneret.com. We are SB Nation's home for UCF sports. Men's basketball is what we're going to start this segment off with, and the non-conference schedule is locked in, ladies and gentlemen. UCF starts with a pair of home games. By the way, big-time opponents on UCF's schedule to start in the non-conference slate. Starting with Saturday, November 28th. That's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. UCF is home for Oklahoma. That's the season opener.
It's also the day after the Black Friday game, so get back from Tampa.
That's right. So, by the way, the following Monday, November 30th, 2 days later, UCF faces Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers at home. Then the Knights have, almost a week off. Sunday, December 6th, they travel to Ann Arbor to play Michigan at the Chrysler Center, and then almost 2 weeks off before they travel to Tallahassee to play Florida State on Saturday, December the 19th. Now, intermittent to that is the Americans' schedule as far as the windows for conference play. Now, the American has not released the conference schedule for neither men's nor women's basketball as of this moment. Now, when are they planning on announcing it?
Well, they have,
or maybe
they
announcing.
They would like to get it done this week, but I think the more likely scenario is that it'll be released early next week.
Okay, so there are 3 windows for games in December that the conference is currently planning on: December 14th through the 17th, December 21st through the 23rd, and December 28th through the 31st. Now, those are weekends. Now, we might see. I don't know what we're going to see, at least as far as this is concerned. But we might see, maybe, who knows? We might see the conference opener on that 14th through 17th weekend, and then the trip to Tallahassee, which I don't remember the last time we had crossover between conference and non-conference since we were in the A-Sun. I don't remember that. Do you guys remember the last time we may have had a non-conference game after the conference opener? It's very rare in the American. I know that.
But the reason they're doing this, every conference is doing this, is trying to give themselves some wiggle room for postponements and things like that might occur. So you want to give yourself some windows here to get some games in.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is what they're trying to do is get everything in before March 11th through the 14th, which is the men's basketball tournament at Dickies Arena at at Fort Worth. And one more note on scheduling. It's a 20-game conference schedule, 10 home, 10 away, everybody home and home. So that should be a lot of fun.
It's the most difficult, greatest UCF men's basketball schedule of all time. And that's not paraphrasing it. I mean, you look at the matchups non-conference with Oklahoma and Auburn at home. You can make an argument that's the best home slate non-conference ever.
Big 12, SEC, Big 10, ACC. Boom.
And then Michigan and Florida State are ranked in the top 25 in the AP polls that came out earlier this week. I think they're both going to be contenders in their respective conference championships. It's unbelievable. And Brian and I were talking about the schedule, and I think it's a great Brian brought it up, and I'll let you kind of expand on this, Murph. On the one hand, it's like, man, that's a tough slate. There's no easy games, but in a unique situation like this season's going to be, where you're gonna, you try to get as many games in, you want to play quality games for the net ranking systems, because I don't think the win-loss records is going to be as big of a factor as far as getting into the tournament like in past years. I think because a lot of teams aren't going to be able to play your typical non-conference games where you're trying to, get 3-4 extra wins, teams that can go 13-11, let's say, as long as their net is good and they have quality wins, is probably going to get into the tournament this year, where maybe in past years they don't.
Yeah, like UCF doesn't have a New Jersey Institute of Technology on their schedule this year.
Which, by the way, makes me upset. I just want to state that for the record.
That's why I brought it up.
Thank you.
They don't have a College of Charleston on their roster, on their schedule this year. And yeah, you would like a couple of easy W's to fatten up your win-loss record. But when we're all playing a modified number of games, it's really more about who did you beat. And so UCF has kind of stacked their own deck with these power conference teams. Two of them are ranked. Another one in Oklahoma is kind of, I think, on the verge of being ranked, or could be ranked. So it's a challenging 4-game non-conference slate, but one I think this program was aiming for, because in this kind of season you really need to rack up quality wins, because there's just not enough space in your schedule to get just the easy ones. And I will add here that teams are allowed this year to play up to 27 games. So if you add in the 10 home, 10 away conference games for each, that's 20. And then we have 4 here, that's 24. So UCF would have space to add in 3 more games, non-conference games, if they so choose to. I've heard it's, anything's possible, but this is how it's set right now. I assume that they would rather leave those dates open for rescheduling more than having to schedule, a quad 4 team from some low bar conference.
So what you're saying is still no hope for the Highlanders of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Very sorry.
All right. Well.
No, but unless it's a Power 5 major program that calls Johnny and says, "Hey, can we get a game in?" And by the way, we have more details on that Auburn slate. That's a home and home now. So it's going to be here at UCF this year and then at Auburn next year. So you look at UCF's future schedule. Michigan is scheduled to come here next year. You go to Auburn next year. You're starting to see Coach Dawkins' philosophy. This is not a one-year thing. He likes to have, I think, a mix of a marquee home games and is willing to go on the road. And you look at it, he's had home and homes with Alabama, Missouri, now Auburn, Oklahoma, Michigan. I mean, he's not ducking people. And I think that's exciting from a program standpoint. And it's awesome. It's exciting. It's very exciting. And I think if they can get a split of those 4 games or win 3 out of 4, that's a heck of a start going into league play and get yourself into the tournament. But the beauty is, even if you lose any of those games, it's not going to hurt you in the net. Whereas if you do play New Jersey of Institution of Technology, you can win by 30 and you're still going to drop in the net. So.
Which is unfortunate, but so we await that conference schedule. That's what we just gotta wait and see on right now. So stick around on blackandgoldbanneret.com. When that comes down, you'll definitely have it.
And a quick salute to the women's, because it was announced. UCF women's basketball announced their home opener is going to be Thanksgiving Eve. They're going to host Virginia. Hello. So I mean, with Coach Aben Dawkins, the bar has been raised from a scheduling standpoint that we probably haven't seen before in this program's history in both men and the women, to the point where, yes, in the past, these programs would play marquee games usually on the road or in a tournament, but now you're starting to see teams willing to come here, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. Shows not just respect to the program, but also the coaching staffs too.
Yes.
I think that's what that really does. Go ahead, Murph. I'm sorry.
One more. No, you're fine. One more note I'll throw in here because it was mentioned in the release when UCF men's basketball published their non-con schedule that it's been agreed upon, or at least allowed, that the Addition Financial Arena, where they host the home games for men's and women's basketball, will have 25% capacity for fans this season. Remember, we talked even last week about will they or won't they have fans? Well, they will. They'll have a quarter stadium full worth of fans. That's about 2,300 to 2,500.
2,500, because it's a 10,000 seat arena.
It's not really though. It's like 9,400. So it's a moving number. It's around 2,400. Okay. So anyway, Jeffrey. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Obviously, for those kind of games, Oklahoma and Auburn. You would definitely see more fans than 2,500 in the arena for that. But at least someone will be there to see it and root for the UCF Knights.
Well, here's what I know about...
Masks are required, by the way.
Yeah, masks are required. Here's what I know about capacities. So the old arena, which is now the venue, supposedly sat 5,100. I was there for UCF's game against Troy, which was the record in that building at the time, which was... And this place was jam-packed. I think that was in 2003. Yeah. And this place literally... jam-packed. There were people standing all around, and the total attendance was listed as 4,700. I thought it was over 5,100 because I was just kind of looking around. Like everywhere where you could stand, somebody was standing, plus all of the seats were completely jam-packed. But as far as like what's the actual attendance of Addition Financial Arena? Let's go with what they say, 10,000. Because 2,500, that's easy math to actually work on. So that's our schedule update, at least for right now, with men's and women's basketball. All right, let's switch over to men's tennis. By the way, it's nice to talk about not football. I mean, not that I don't like talking about football, but it's nice to talk about the Olympic sports, really, that we have for the first time, really, and it's men's tennis getting some love this week. Earlier this week, the ITA National Fall Championship, which was held at a tournament which was held at the USTA National Tennis Campus in Lake Nona. It was an all UCF final, and it was televised on ESPNU. Now, this is an individual event, not a team event. But the final on the men's side was Trey Hilderbrand of UCF against his teammate Gabriel DeCamps. And after DeCamps won the first set 6-4, Hilderbrand kind of hit the afterburners and won the last two sets 6-1, 6-1 to take the tournament championship on ESPNU on national television. So five, by the way, it was five UCF players who participated in this tournament, along with Mikhail Sokolovsky, Quinn Snyder, and Vasil Kiselyov. But these two guys made it to the final. And it was Trey Hilderbrand who got the victory in 3, and afterwards spoke with our very own Eric Lopez. Elo, what was that like?
It was really great to catch up with him and talk about the uniqueness of this tournament. Of course, this tournament is a field where many college players, junior players participate in, and Hilderbrand was the 8th seed. He beat one of the top players in the world, Connor Krug, who was a Duke star there, as well as beating Kylie Seelig of Ohio State, and of course beat all the way to the final where he saw his old roommate and teammate, Mr. DeCamps. I talked to him about that. What was it like to face somebody you know so well? And what was it like also to play indoors? You see, they've been playing this tournament outdoors, but because of weather, moved it indoors for the championship. I talked to him about that and the impact and what Knight fans can look forward to moving forward for him and the Knights 2020-21 tennis team. Here is Trey Hilderbrand on the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. And joining us now, he is the new champion, ladies and gentlemen. You may watch them on Sunday on ESPNU, winning the ITA National Fall Championship I speak of Trey, Hilderbrand, who joins us here. That's a good title that you just added there over the weekend.
Yeah, it was very good. I'm very happy to get the title.
Now you've had a few days to reflect on it. Take me through that tournament. What did it mean to you to win it, and then going up against your buddy here and Gabriel DeCamps, obviously teammates there. You had to come from behind in the semis and in the final to win the championship. But what did that mean to you?
No, it meant a lot. I came into the tournament. I didn't really expect too much. I did my first tournament back. I just wanted to get out there and play some good tennis. But luckily, I was able to play really well, and I just fought my way through the semis and finals. I was a set down, but I just told myself to keep fighting. Keep staying with it, and hopefully I was able to come back. But it was obviously really good for not only me and Gabe, for the program at UCF to have two Knights in the final. It is very, very nice playing Gabe in the final. It's always good when you're playing a teammate. But it sucks that one of us had to win, one of us had to lose, but luckily I was able to get the upper hand.
What was that like? You know each other so well. You've practiced against each other, I'm sure. Now you're playing indoors too, where you were playing outdoors. Now this match has moved inside at the USTA Center. What was that like, facing somebody that knows you and you know him?
Yeah, obviously we play pretty much every day together. We practice every day. We see each other every day. We know the ins and outs of each other's games, but it was just going to come down to who was playing better in the bigger moments, and who was able to come way through it. And moving indoors was definitely a bit of a shock to us, because the last time we played indoors was probably together, honestly, probably over a year ago, practicing in the spring, getting ready for some indoor matches. But yeah, we hadn't played indoors in forever, but I think we had a pretty good match, and it was a pretty high level.
Yeah, pretty high level, I would say. Describe for those that don't follow it closely what it means to participate in a tournament like the ITA National Fall Championships, where you got some of the top college players, but you also have top juniors. What is it like as a tennis player to be a part of it?
It's a big honor, to be able to compete at a very high level with some very good players. It's always nice to see the competition. It's always very nice to play against high quality players, and especially to do so well in the tournament. It's just a very big honor for me overall.
What did you learn about your game this week? Have you been working on it? You mentioned it's been a while. We all know it's all well documented. The season got cut short in the spring as you were having a great season as a team and everything like that. How did it mean getting back on the court, playing at a high level competition? What did you learn about yourself that you'll move forward here?
Like I said before, I just wanted to come out there and play some good tennis. I've been playing pretty well in practice over the course of the fall. I've been improving a lot and working hard, getting a lot better. And I just was going to see if I was able to bring it into a tournament, and luckily I was able to, and very, very happy with my performance, and it just gives me a lot more confidence for the future, and very, very excited for what's to come.
For those, describe your style of play, because when I watched you play on Sunday, and I really enjoy how you're so aggressive at the net, serve and volley. You're so powerful, taking advantage from the serve. We don't see that as often from other tennis, in the sport of tennis. A lot more ground stroke, but just describe your style of play, because I really enjoyed the kind of dominance you had at the net.
Yeah, I like to obviously serve and volley. I like to mix up paces. I like to just keep my opponent on his heels. And I don't really like to give him one pace, one rhythm. I like to keep the rhythm going. I like to mix it up. And serve and volley, I've done it for a pretty long time, and I've gotten a lot better at it over the past 2-3 years. And just as I get bigger and stronger, I think it's been a lot more effective, because I can cover the court easier, get bigger serves, and just move a lot better overall.
The thing that impressed me about you and Gabe was you're playing indoors. There's a difference. People that don't follow tennis don't understand. When you're playing outdoors, you go indoors. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
The climate's different. Just talk. I don't know, when did you guys even know you were going to be playing indoors? Because I know you had been playing outdoors earlier, I believe. To describe the differences there and the adjustments you had to make and still play at a high level.
We figured out we were going to play indoors, early in the morning, or probably in the morning of the match. We played at 6. We found out about around 10 or 11, I think. But no, it's definitely a change. It's a lot faster in there. The air is a lot thicker. It's a lot colder in there than it was outside. So, I mean, we just had to get acclimated to that and just see if we could handle it well. And it was very quick and fast in there. So obviously the serving volley probably helped me a little bit more, maybe a little more advantage for the match.
You had there was a total of, you had 3 or 4 other teammates participate in the tournament. How big is that as you not only prepare this fall, but get set for the spring as well, for the season, to get these top high-level matches and competition going to get you ready for the season? That has to be huge because not a lot of athletes in other sports have that opportunity currently.
No, exactly. I mean, we're very fortunate to have the tournament at the USTA where we train. So, I mean, we were very fortunate to be able to play a tournament, especially with one with as good as players as there were in this tournament, because we need to get ready for the spring, and how there's no way better to do that than getting high-quality matches in a high-quality tournament about a couple months before the season even starts. So, yeah, we were very lucky to have it, and we're very grateful.
Fitting that you both would play in the final fitting to be played at the USTA national campus, obviously, where you call home. What did that mean, too, to be at home playing on national television? I would imagine the both of you had a lot of pride playing in that match and playing also at your home soil.
Yeah, I mean, both of us obviously really wanted to win. We wanted to win for ourselves, for the school, and it's just very nice to be able to play at home, to be able to just play. Again, like I said, with a teammate at home, it's just like a practice match, Just like every day we go out there together and play together as teammates, and it was a lot of fun. I really like playing at the USTA.
What did it mean, too, to win a championship singles? You've played both singles and doubles as you have to in college game. You've been a tremendous player in doubles, been in the NCAA championships as a doubles player, All-American double players. Describe the difference playing in doubles and then adjusting and then playing singles from a mindset standpoint and having that success here in both ends.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, to be honest with you, I haven't had really a lot of success in singles in a while, man. So, I mean, this is very bittersweet for me. It was very nice to get a title like this. I haven't done something like this in a long time in singles. I've always been my results have always really came in doubles, especially in college. But no, I mean, I don't know about the mindset changing to it, because mine's kind of the same. I kind of just serve ball in both, to be honest. But I guess doubles is a little easier because I don't have to cover exactly like the full court, just half court. And singles, you can kind of stay back, and people normally stay back. With doubles, it's kind of more of a coming forward game. It forces people to use their hands and stuff, which I'm very good at. So it's kind of helped me over the past. But in singles, just trying to use my hand as much as possible. Trying to get where I can use my strengths as much as possible, and it's in that whenever I can.
You imagine how big of a confidence boost is this for you singles, especially in the college level here now moving forward the rest of your career? Just a sophomore moving forward, you've had the success doubles, not as much in the singles. As you mentioned, this is going to be a big confidence booster for you, though, moving forward, that, hey, playing at the highest level, winning this championship.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, like I said before, this is a big confidence booster because, I mean, I haven't had a result like this in singles in a while. Haven't really beaten players like this in a while. So it's just very, very refreshing to see that I still can play at a high level, and I can still well, I'm very excited to move forward with my game, so I'm very excited.
We're speaking with Trey Hilderbrand, of course, the new ITA National Fall Champion here on the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. You're from San Antonio. Tell us a little bit how you ended up at UCF here and playing for Coach Roddick.
Well, I guess I knew John a little bit from before I came to college. So I knew how he was as a coach. I heard he was a very good coach, and I know he had trained some players that have gone pro after college. I knew that he would be able to show me what it takes to try to play, have a professional career after college, and I knew he could show me the tools to get there. So I just decided that was the best fit for me.
What have you learned from Coach Roddick here during your time here that's helped you as far as develop your game?
Well, honestly, probably the most important thing is just my mentality. I mean, I had in juniors and still even now, I get mad a lot on the court, kind of show my emotion, show my frustration, show my positivity whenever I can. He's just trying to get me to be more positive on the court and not let the negative things kind of take over the match and take over in my head, and just being able to stay more calm and more collected on the court.
You mentioned the success you've had in doubles since you've been here at UCF playing with Pavel, who you both have been dynamic, ranked as high as 14th. You finished ranked 17th your freshman year. You were on your way to another big year in your sophomore season. Why have you and Pavel been so good together as far as the doubles team?
I think we just connect really well together on the court. We're really good friends off the court. So, I mean, the chemistry is always there. And, again, we know each other's games. We know what each other like. We know what each other likes to do. And when we're playing well together, we serve big, we return well. And, I mean, it's just hard to beat us when we're playing well.
Talk about your team, UCF team here. This is a young roster, still a lot of talent, but you're all making history every time you're playing. It's setting the bar even higher for the program than it's ever been since Coach Roddick's arrived. I mean, the Camps has had a great run. I mean, talk about the roster and the team you have. You're going to be back because you're going to be a loaded team and still a lot with still a lot of youth, which is scary.
Yeah, no, we're very. I think most of us have about 2 years left. So I mean, but we're a very deep team from lines 1 to line 6. I mean, the level difference is not that significant, you know. I mean, yeah, all of us on the team, we practice together. We all beat each other, and we all take turns beating each other. So I mean, it's very good to see that levels up there from lines 1 to 6, and we're very excited what we're going to be able to do in the spring, and we can't wait.
And you have to work together. In college tennis, it's such a team game because you're dependent on each other, regardless whether it's singles or doubles, to get the points, to get the result. Just talk about some of your teammates. You mentioned, I mean, we saw at the camps and how talented he is. What makes him so great? And some of the other guys that you've got here, because you've got a great mix of youth, and yet you have that experience. It's like that chemistry that's kind of been building here on the program.
No, I mean, all the guys work really hard. You know, and all the guys put everything they have into practice. They all. Right when we walk on the court to practice, we're all engaged and we're all ready to get each other better. So it's always and it's really good having guys like that around me because it obviously makes me a lot better. It makes me engaged. And, you know, when we're playing sets, we get a little into it. But that's always good because we want to have the competitiveness in there. And when we're practicing in drills, we're always just pumping each other up, just saying, like, let's go Trey or let's go Gabe, just stuff like that. Just keep each other going and keep each other engaged in the practice.
What makes Gabe, such a great player? I mean, he's had this great run so far himself. He was a first All-American singles player in program history in the junior in this past season. What makes him so great there? Because, I mean, he gave you all you can handle. I mean, you had to dig deep to take him out, beat him there in that championship. But he's had a tremendous run there, and I'm sure that helps your confidence that he's one of the best singles players out there.
No, for sure. I mean, Gabe is just – when he plays, he's a machine from the baseline, doesn't miss balls from the baseline. His forehand is one of the biggest forehands in college for sure. I mean, in practice, he'll take over some practices with just his forehand in general and just kill us all off the court with his forehand. And he's gotten a lot better at the net. He's able to move forward now, and he's comfortable doing it. So, I mean, that's always kind of a scary thing when he meshes it all together. And his returns are very, very, very good. His serve is continuing to improve. It's improved a lot since I first saw him, but I mean, obviously he still has to work on it a little bit. He knows that. So I think he's going to be all right. Man, he's doing good.
What got you interested in playing tennis growing up? What influenced you in playing tennis? Did you have a favorite tennis player that influenced your game and watching him?
I mean, my favorite tennis player has always been Roger Federer. I don't know. I just kind of like the dominance he's had over the past 20 years or whatever. I mean, he's been doing it for so long. And, I just like how he just keeps calm on the court. I like the way he plays. But what got me into tennis, my dad got me into tennis. My dad has always been my coach my entire life through juniors. So he kind of got me started at an early age. And I kind of just started training. I started really liking it and just kind of progressed on to what it is now.
Do you think Roger doesn't seem like he's going to slow down? I know he had the knee surgery this year, but he's ready to go here for the Australian here in 2021 in the Olympics.
That guy always seems to bounce back. He always seems to bounce back.
It's unbelievable, and I would imagine that inspires you too. Watching somebody like Roger play and adapt over the years, that has to be inspirational from your standpoint in your game.
No, for sure, because I've seen his game style. I mean, he's not the same player that he used to be when he first started on the tour and stuff. So I mean, it's just good to see. And, it's just nice to see that he's still doing it at his age now. I don't know what he is, 37 or something like that, but it's really good to see.
And yeah, that'd show it. He is certainly playing a high level there, and you're playing at a high level here. I'm sure with pro aspirations down the road, one of the advantages you might have is you could play at a high level in doubles, and now you've shown you could play at a high level at singles, which will give you some options once you're done with your college career there. Because the Bryan brothers, for example, who just retired, one of the greatest doubles teams there. Is that something you've thought about from down the road here, as far as I could make a career as either a doubles player or singles, whatever it takes me?
Yeah, for sure. No, I've always kind of my plan throughout college, and I've always said I'm going to go pro in doubles and see what I can do. In doubles, I think I could play at a very high level on the doubles tour, and I mean, if I did that, that would be amazing for me. I mean, that'd be amazing for me. On singles, I'll probably try after college to go pro and see where it takes me, see how well I play, and see how it goes. I mean, if I'm able to do one or the other, I mean, whichever one it is, it'd be perfectly fine with me. I mean, it'd be amazing either way. And if both, that's just even better, I mean, if it's both, it's both. If it's just one or the other, it's just one or the other.
What's the biggest
for me?
No doubt. I mean, what's the biggest thing you've worked on and will continue to work on your game that you feel like, hey, if I can just improve on this game? Because every tennis player has something they always are working on, improving on, they take them to that next level. What is that aspect of the game that you're working on that you feel like if I could just knock this out and improve this even just a little bit more, this could take me to the next level?
Well, that's no secret. That's my forehand. My forehand has been kind of been a weakness of mine for a while, and but again, I've really worked on it over the past year and a half. I've really tried to engage in every practice of my forehand and just really focus on the little things to get it better. And it's definitely shown big signs of improvement. And I was able to do it in the tournament as well. I was able to hit it in the tournament very well in the tournament, luckily. And hopefully it just keeps improving over time, and maybe I'll be able to call it a strength one day,
Yeah, no, it's pretty strength. I want to go back to that semifinal match because you're down a set and you're literally a game away from being knocked out, and you're able to pull that out. I got to imagine that's a match that's something you're going to remember for a while, and it's going to really help you down the road. Take me through that moment in that semis against Young where you're down a set and you're down a game here, and you know that you got to pull it out here, or you're going to be out here. And you're able to, not only you pulled it out, but then you won the third set and moved on, and we know the rest is history. Take me through that moment because that was a defining moment.
Well, I told myself that the conditions were really tough out there. It was really windy, so it was kind of tough to hit winners. So I told myself I just wasn't going to miss balls that game. I'm going to put every ball in play. The guy hit 4 winners to win the game. He hit 4 winners to win the game. I mean, there's not much I can do when he does that. But, I just told myself I just wanted to put balls and play that game, and if he beats me, he beats me. That's kind of all that went through my head, really. I just was going to fight. I was obviously going to run down every ball and compete for every ball and just get every ball to the court.
So now you win this championship. Take me now through, from your standpoint individually first, the rest of the fall as you get prepared for the spring and everything like that, the keys there, what you work on moving forward as you get set here for the spring season and beyond as we get to the college season here and compete for the conference championship and get back to the NCAAs, both as a team and as individuals.
Yeah, I mean, my mentality, and I'm sure the team's mentality doesn't really change, man. I mean, I think we've been doing really, really well as a group and as individuals and as a group. In practice and engaging in practice, like I said, and my mentality is not going to change. I'm going to work my ass off every day of practice. And I'm going to try to keep improving my game because I know there are areas I need to improve. Even though I won the tournament, there are areas I need to improve. And, but yeah, I'm not going to stop. And I know we're going to keep improving for the spring. And we're all really, really excited and hungry for that spring, and we want to win a conference championship this year.
And I imagine like some unfinished business, right? Like there's that taste, the season got cut short. You understood why it was.
Yeah.
But there's that, there's that more appreciation to get the opportunity. Not that you didn't have it before, but as a group, you have that appreciation just to be back on the court. And at the same time, some unfinished business because you were headed for a monster year before it got cut short.
Yeah.
And I think you guys want to kind of continue that and kind of go deep into the postseason and accomplish all your goals you all have internally.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think when we ended the season, I don't know I could be wrong, but I think we were on about like an 8-match winning streak or something like that. But I mean, we were playing well as a team. We were all competing every match. We were making stupid mistakes like we were the year before. You know, we were going to be good that year. We were or last year. We were on ways to becoming like a top 15 team. I think so. We were around 20. I think when COVID happened and everything stopped. But no, we were really excited for a conversation. We thought we were going to get last year, but sadly it had to be cut short.
It was cut short, but, I think it gets you all ready to go, ready hopefully in the spring here. Was that weird, by the way, being indoors? Because when you've played during the college season over there at the USTA Center, you're playing in front of a good crowds there. And I don't think people realize that. I've been out, but people out there, good atmosphere, some crowds. Here, it's kind of controlled. There's nobody there for the obvious reasons. Was that an adjustment, not having people around?
I mean, to be honest, not really. Actually, the whole tournament, nobody was really around. So by the time it came to the final, we were kind of used to it. I mean, it was just different kind of having the cameras around, the mics around, and like all the lines people. But, I mean, I was able to adjust fine and play well, so I'm happy with it.
You should be happy with it. You're a champion now, and well-earned. Well-earned. Trey Hilderbrand here. Congratulations on that championship. It was awesome to see you and Gabe play on TV. It was great as a tennis fan to get some extra tennis in there because there was a few months ago there where we didn't think that'd be possible from a college and professional standpoint. So congrats on the great achievement, and we look forward to seeing you more here moving forward here at UCF, and hope to enjoy talking to you and look forward to seeing you on the court.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for having me, all right? I really appreciate it.
And that's Trey Hilderbrand joining us there, the sophomore out of San Antonio, joining us there. It was great to talk to him, and what a big moment for him. And he even talked about it, guys. He's an All-American doubles player. He's accomplished that so far in his young UCF career with Pavel, as we talked about, the great tandem. But really, singles, he hadn't really accomplished as much in the singles. So this is a big boost for him. And that serve and volley that for those that watched it, very similar to his idol Roger Federer on the grass courts of Wimbledon. You may have seen. You saw it there with Hilderbrand, who was one of the big-time recruits that John Roddick has brought here to this program, and that's the versatility of this program. Is they're going to be able to really put out dominant performances in singles and doubles. And for Hilderbrand, he's just a sophomore. I think the future's bright. And you look at this tennis team, as we talked about in the interview, guys, they bring everybody back, basically. There's no seniors on the roster. DeCamps, really, and the impressive, DeCamps is the best singles player. I mean, I think if going into that match, DeCamps was probably the favorite because he is the first UCF men's tennis All-American. But it shows how close they are as far as talent-wise, where Hilderbrand was able to take them out. So this is a team that's going to have a monster year. They're going to be probably a top 25 type of a tennis team. They're headed to being a national title contender down the road, if not sooner. Maybe this year. Who knows? Ton of talent. Quinn Snyder, the true freshman, is a 5-star recruit that came in. He was part of this tournament. I mean, John Roddick has got it rolling now with the men's tennis program, and it's pretty cool, man, to see him showcased on the ESPNU there. That's always good exposure.
Yeah. I'm looking at the ITA rankings right now. It's a little wonky because the season is basically barely started. There's not a whole lot going on, but they do have, according to the site, their rankings are as of September 29th, which I guess is kind of like preseason, right? DeCamps is 19th in the country. Juan Pablo Grassi Mazuki is 76th. UCF as a team is ranked, I just saw them, there they are, 22nd. But I would imagine that with, again, this is one of those sports where you think football is weird. Man, tennis is going to be really strange with the COVID-19 situation, right, Eric?
It is, but I'm honestly, if you ask me, tennis and golf, I'm the most confident as far as, while the COVID thing's gonna be weird, I don't think it'll be as interrupted as much because it's an individual sport. You're really isolated in the sport. It's the most isolated sport you could possibly be, and it's just taking care of yourself. And I think tennis, we've seen that in the pros with the ATP and the WTA. And Murph, you covered the World Team Tennis this past summer. Granted, in a bit of a bubble circumstances, but still, I think tennis can handle this, and they did that this week with that past week with the ITA Tournament Championship. You saw the protocols, you saw people wearing masks. So I'm optimistic about the tennis season, handling this pretty well, and I hope so. I mean, remember, this team, the men's tennis and women's tennis were off to tremendous starts in 2020. We focused so much on softball and baseball and their great starts. Men's and women's tennis were having big years again before the season got shut down. I think they both were headed for a monster years, probably conference championships, had the season not be interrupted. I think that's where the expectations are. The bar has been raised here at UCF and tennis. They are going to be a national program. That's what John Roddick has turned them into. They're going to be hosting national championships here down the road. That was announced recently. And I think he's doing what he did at Oklahoma. They're going to be competing for national championships. And, man, it's exciting to watch.
Mm-hmm. By the way, on the women's side, both Rebecca Stolmar and Nandini Sharma made it to the quarterfinals in the main draw. Yep. And then also in the second draw, Valeria Zaleva and Jaleesa Leslie made their debuts for UCF on the women's side on the ITA. So,
this is, I think, something we're also going to start seeing down the road. We're going to start seeing UCF players playing professionally at levels. You heard the interview with Hilderbrand. He's talked about playing doubles professionally in the ATP Tour, possibly, maybe World Team Tennis. He's got the game to do it. Watching him play, he is a fantastic doubles player with his game, the big serve, the volley. He's a perfect complement. I think we're going to start seeing guys like him play in the next level, whether it be in singles or especially in doubles with Hildebrand's case. He's too good not to play doubles. I think you're going to start seeing UCF guys playing at the highest level here professionally moving forward. I think that's the type of talent that John Roddick has brought here, as well as Brian Konecko, the women's coach, who, by the way, was the last guy prior to this year, the last time that a school had a head-to-head matchup in the IT championships was Brian at Ohio in 2008.
Brian against a teammate in 2008, huh?
Yeah.
Did he win it?
That's a good question. Did he win it? I'm looking it up right now and stalling. And the answer to that question, yes, he did.
He did. Okay.
He beat his teammate Justin Krunich in 3 sets. That was back in the days where he was at Ohio State.
That was 2008. I was covering Georgia at that time, and the top player in the country was at UGA, and that was John Isner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he totally dominant in college was John. And boy, he was something to watch because he was just serving people out of the building every time, left and right.
And that's been right. But I think what I like from guys like Hilderbrand, the camps, they have variety in their game, and I think that's the key to being successful at the next level.
They're not a one trick pony.
Right. By the way, Hilderbrand, it goes without saying, is the first UCF player in history to win this tournament, which has been now 42 years old. And like I said, it's not just college players. A lot of times they have junior players and things like that, and they go on to have successful tennis careers moving forward. So this is a big honor.
Cool. All right. So congrats to Trey on that, and hopefully we'll see what the schedule looks like for men's tennis and women's tennis coming up as we approach the spring. It's going to be fluid, as it normally is. So, but when you're in Florida and you can come to the USTA National Campus, hey, why not? Let's wrap this thing up with a little something. But we want to. It's a sad week for those of us who love TV, and we all do. Alex Trebek passed away, the longtime host of Jeopardy, 36 years. He was hosting Jeopardy since 1984. Passed away after a difficult battle with pancreatic cancer at the age of 80. And we talked about it on the group text, and I think it's safe to, I don't think there's any person who is more closely associated with the show on which they are than Alex Trebek was with Jeopardy. And Jeopardy was a television institution. It's been on TV for as long as most of us have been alive, and Alex is gone, and it's just going to be hard to believe. So I thought a lot about like how can we pay tribute to Alex Trebek in our own UCF way. Obviously, there have been some UCF graduates who've been on Jeopardy before, but my question would be obviously we've had Jeopardy. It's had some spinoffs, including Sports Jeopardy with Dan Patrick, right? I loved Rock and Roll Jeopardy when that was on VH1. You remember that?
Sorta, yeah. VH1.
The host of that one was the guy who does Survivor.
Jeff Probst?
Yes, Jeff Probst. He was the host of that. That was really good. But so let me ask you this. I want to ask both of you guys. Let's say the producers of Jeopardy decided for some strange reason that they were going to pick the new host of Jeopardy from only people who are associated with UCF. If that were the case, who do you think they would pick? Now, I have my pick, but I want one of you guys to go first.
Yeah, I'm over honestly, but I need to know your pick because I'm gonna probably steal it. But besides that,
okay.
I'm overthinking this. Like I'm thinking really too hard about this. So why don't you
surprise? You want me to lay it on you, Eric? Do you have one?
I'm with Murph. I'd rather you go first before I get a boulder.
I'm gonna go with our man Stat Pat Hernan. In the don't laugh, don't you dare laugh at Pat because listen,
I love it.
First of all, everyone loves Pat. He's the kindest gentleman you could possibly find. He is super smart. He's an educator. He is on top of it. He in terms of knowledge and stats. He amazed me how back when he was doing back when Bright House Sports Network was doing high school football. He actually basically came up with game notes for both teams that were like pages thick from high schools, which I couldn't even believe. Just super knowledgeable and also just a calming presence to talk to. You just know he's smart about everything. Pat would be my guy. He would be my guy to take over on Jeopardy. All right. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, cause yeah, I agree. And so I'm thinking like, I thought all the way through like, okay, you need someone who is intellectual, but also kind of calming and
personable.
Yes,
yeah.
But also has has wit and has an ability to be comedic unexpectedly, almost, right? So
yeah,
it's really hard for me because I'm thinking of people like Eric DeSalvo would be good, but I think Eric's too energetic, and that's not a knock against Eric DeSalvo, but that's just kind of who he is. Like Johnny Dawkins seems right to me. He's extremely smart. He's like well composed, and being around him enough, like he's pretty witty for a guy who doesn't really fly off the handle. Like he's really kind of witty, but very serene and calm, and but obviously he's extremely smart. I don't know. I'm sure I'll think of a better answer in about 12 hours. So why does Eric go next?
Go ahead, Eric.
That's pretty good on Dawkins. That's pretty good, actually. That's not a bad one. That's a pretty good one. I'm shocked, Jeffrey. I like the Hernan thing, but I'm going with a guy I thought you were going to go with, Todd Dagenet. I'm going Todd Dagenet. I know that the guy is bright. I enjoy listening to him to talk. I think he's smart, and I think he's entertaining, and I think he would entertain. Now, yeah, I know, Murph, you might say he's a little bit too hyped. But I think I can deal with that. Look, no one's going to be Alex Trebek, so I think it's not fair to try to find the next Alex Trebek. You got to find the next person. I would like to see Todd host it in that scenario. That would be one that I would pick. I mean, heck, we could even use the name. Who is Dagenet? I would, or Brian. How about his assistant, Brian, who's a great defensive mind. I don't know if he would, be as personality-wise, he would handle the hosting duties like Todd would. I think Todd would be a great host. So I would go with him. What do you get? But, as far as a coach or player is concerned, alumni, if you're including staff, I would say I'm going John Heisler, man. Come on. The guy's
John Heisler, okay.
Yeah, John Heisler's an author, great, well-spoken. Down, to your point, Murph, you want a little low-key, John Heisler. I would pick him if we go staff.
I would also add, that's a good pick. John Heisler, for those of you who don't know, John Heisler is at the head of the communications department for UCF Athletics. But yeah, he's very
literally wrote the book on Notre Dame football.
Yeah, I mean, as knowledgeable of a mind of Notre Dame football as you'll find, but a commanding presence, but very soft spoken. I like that a lot. I should also add, if I continue to push for Eric DeSalvo, and I don't know why I forgot about this when I first mentioned his name, he has experience in the role because Eric and his brother Matt, they for a couple of years they were the host of a trivia competition every Tuesday at the World of Beer on Lake Eola, and I would know because I went there every Tuesday with a friend of mine, and we ran it. We were great. But that's me bragging about myself.
I didn't know that.
Eric has hosted a trivia competition, pop culture, music, movies, TV for about 2 years up until about 2018. But he has experience.
Man, how did I miss that? Wow, really?
That's not bad. I feel
that's
like
pretty good.
DeSalvo would be a good Price is Right host. Just kind of.
Yeah, he's got that bubbly.
Yeah.
DeSalvo would be very good on Wheel of Fortune as a replacement for Pat Sajak because, it's like, he already knows the answer, but he's kind of like facilitating things, right? He's organizing things.
See, now I was thinking Dan Forcella could be the host of the Wheel of Fortune and then have Megan Herboth as the Vanna White there where the letters. So I think you've got a combo there. They've already worked together, kind of like Pat Sajak and Vanna White, because that's a combo. You have to have a combo here. You can't do isolated. I think you have to have that team chemistry, and I feel like they can make that work from Wheel of Fortune.
People may not know who those are, so people should know that we're just now naming communications people that we talk to. Yeah,
we're just naming the people who we know at UCF in the communications department who we communicate with the most, and that's.
How about? I mean, I'll give you another one. I think for Price or Right. I don't know why I'm going away from Jeopardy. Jeopardy's a harder show. I like my.
That's why I asked the question. It was like
I like Heisler there. I'll give you another name. I think for the Price is Right is like a Kenny Landis. Kenny Landis, who by the way helped us hook up with the Trey Hilderbrand interview.
Thank you, Kenny.
He would be a nice host, I think, for the Price is Right. I don't know why I'm trying to get rid of Drew Carey.
What about listen, let's not retire Drew on that. What about current or former student athletes?
Oh wait, I'm trying to compose myself. Okay. I can't believe that we started.
All right, so I'll give you one. I loved talking to Richie Grant when I talked to him last year. I found him to be super engaging. We know he's a smart dude, and I was like, Richie Grant to me would be great in one of those kinds of roles. I think he would be. Super fantastic.
Hold on. I mean, yes, good choice. I like Richie, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm downgrading that because that's pretty good. But hello, Michael Donnell, that's the guy. He needs to host a show. Period. Okay, it could be anything.
Donnell, I could. I feel like MOD could totally host a reality show and just be all over the place. Like he would be great as Jeff Probst. Or he would be better than Ryan Seacrest, obviously. He would be great. He would be excellent hosting a reality because I think isn't he like pretty big in some of the reality? No, I know he's big into Star Wars, obviously, but
I don't know. I kind of lost myself there because I think it was hilarious that we have this Jeopardy segment that somehow went askew, and now we named a new host for Price is Right.
Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever.
Now we're firing Drew Carey. We're firing Pat Sajak and Vanna White. We're impugning Jeff Probst.
I have a host for Match Game 73.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Like the best, Richie Grant is great because he's a great talker. There are other great talkers like Otis Anderson's a great talker. Mackenzie Milton should be up there too. But you're also looking for, but I don't know, if you want to follow in the Trebek line, you need like that sort of like surprising,
you need gravitas, right?
Yeah, like caught off guard. You need like a caught off guard wit. Like those guys are actually too funny to be the host of Jeopardy.
I'll give you an athlete standpoint. B.J. Taylor, especially in the topic of movies. Like, Murph, I'm shocked. The next time you ever talk to B.J. Taylor, you talk to movies. He's talked to Mark Daniels on the radio about movies. He reviews movies. I'm shocked you two have never spoken about movies. B.J.'s a movie nut, and he knows his knowledge there. He'd be another one that could host.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I did not know that about B.J. either. Wow.
Yeah, like next time, Murph, you run into Mark, you ask him about it. Like, it's every time he's had BJ on, they usually break down a movie they've seen recently and whatever. It's really phenomenal. Yeah. So BJ Taylor would be another guy that could host a show.
And last but not least, how can we possibly have something like this and forget about Jordan Johnson, who, by the way, wants to be on television, right?
That's really good.
He would be amazing. Now, he's kind of like the bubbly type, right? So, yeah, I'm totally in on Jordan. I would be totally in on Jordan Johnson to host anything that we could that you could possibly have. So there you go. So who's gonna replace Alex Trebek? I don't know. I don't know if anybody can really replace him, but somebody will be.
I'm actually now worried that Heisler might leave us to be the host. I'm actually concerned. Murph, can you make sure he's in the stadium there on Saturday? If he's not,
I'll ask him on Saturday if he's in the running with Ken Jennings. Thanks.
All right. Well, let's take a break here. Or actually, no, we're done with the show. We can actually go now. Yeah, let's break until Saturday when we actually cover the game. UCF against Temple, 7:30 p.m. ESPN. I will be there. Murph, you will be there. Eric, you will be watching on television, I would imagine.
That's right.
And preparing for the night shift with Andrew Gluchov right after the game, right?
That's correct. I don't have to worry about anybody competition taking that job away from me anytime soon in the immediate future. Me and Andrew will recap the Temple game at some point. You can check out, by the way, Andrew's work right now, Black and Gold Banneret, his all FBS team.
Yes.
25th. This is the 25th season of UCF football. He put his all FBS team. It's really good. I want you to check that out. Him and I will recap the Temple game. And I have a feeling we might start looking ahead to that next opponent, Cincinnati, at some point Saturday night. It'll be Saturday Night Live, if you will, late night there. Right. Probably during a monologue while Murph is obviously be doing his post-game stuff. We'll be out there. That'll be up on the social media and on the Black and Gold Banneret as well.
Yep, keep an eye on that. And also for Andrew's post-game knee-jerk reactions as well. Make sure you follow all of us individually, Jeff_Sharon, Eric Lopez Elo, Spokes_Murphy, as well as UCF_Banneret. Thanks again to everybody on the team who's been helping out. Of course, Statboy Drew on Twitter. That's Andrew and Jeremy Brenner. Danny Medina News, who's been just on top of the weather, of course, and writing up some great features for us.
Somebody is.
I know. But the weather should be good on Saturday. The weather should be nice.
As long as she says it, I believe it.
I hear you.
As long as she says it, I believe it. So. By the way, shout out. Jimmy Skiles could also host one of those game shows. How do we not bring up Jimmy Skiles? Are you kidding me?
Skiles would be great. Skiles and Steve Robertson, my two guys over there. Steve would be just amazing. Although I could totally see Steve hosting, like, Press Your Luck. Like, he would totally be all over Press Your Luck. He'd be great.
Again. We're going to different game shows now.
I know. We're now, yeah. But yeah, shout out to those guys as well. So
DeSalvo could host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That would be another show.
Facebook.com. I'm trying to pull this thing back onto the rails, guys. Come on. Facebook.com/Black and Gold Banneret. And of course, And of course, blackandgoldbanneret.com, where we are UCF's home on the SB Nation network. And don't forget to follow us there. Every day we got something up on UCF. So thanks again to you for listening. For Eric and Brian, I'm Jeff. Thanks once again. This has been the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. We will catch you Saturday night for UCF and Temple. See you then.